Feels so good to be up here in the mountains again. It's about 35 degrees on December 10th, which actually feels kind of like a mini heat wave. It's been pretty cold, and as you can see, we've got some snow. I've been meaning to do this hike for a little while, and it's kind of a different one. It's kind of an interesting one. It's off the beaten path, but once I found out about it, I was excited to show you all some history here in the Ogden area. So let me give you a little backstory. I'm up here on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. You might be able to see it weaving along the hillside there. And I'm over above Weber State University, which is right down there. And I was at the Weber State football home game. Got the stadium just right there. And right about there where that W is where I was sitting. And just above me was my uncle, who taught at Weber State for a very long time. If any of you are locals, you've probably had his history class. And while I was sitting there, he pointed up to where I am here on the mountainside. Now, it might be a little bit hard to illustrate, but maybe the snow will provide enough contrast. But he pointed to some ravines or some marks along the hillside. Maybe I can point one out to you. Just right up there above me, kind of comes down. And he said that this is where the pioneers dragged logs down this side of the mountain down to somewhere below. So there must have been a little road or wagon trail or something. And they harvested lumber, but if you see where I'm at, there's absolutely no lumber. But that's not because they over-harvested. I'm just on the south side of a slope, and pine trees don't really grow on south sides of the slope, especially in this area. And so what they were doing was they were actually taking them from over that ridge, sliding them down, and bringing them somewhere down this valley. You can see where this tree is sitting, and you can kind of see how on that side you can see snow. On this side you can't. And this is one of the ravines that they hauled the logs down. I'll get up further and see a little bit closer. But now you can actually see how the north-facing slopes in the wintertime get more moisture or retain more moisture, because that snowbank right there, that amount of snow, that is facing north. And as you can see, the sun is more in the south there. And so it's the same principle with these hillsides, that these north-facing slopes just retain more moisture and remain cooler, making certain types of vegetation grow. And here's like a little micro example of that. Wasn't planning on making that analogy, but it just makes sense. So I'm off the beaten path a little bit, and my goal is to follow this ravine straight up, or ravine or trench or whatever it is. I mean, it's pretty significant. And I want to get up over the ridge and see if I can find any evidence of any lumber operations. And the ridge I'm heading up over and looking down into would be Strong's Canyon, if you're familiar with this area. But here you can see the drag marks a little bit better. It follows this trench here and all the way up there. Maybe that helps. And it's hard to say how significant this trench actually was, but now that it's here with the water, I'm sure, water, not a ton of it, but it flows down this trench, and maybe it's dug it out even more. But it makes me wonder where they were hauling the logs to, because downtown Ogden is out that way. I haven't looked at any historical maps recently, but I don't know what the settlements were out here. But to the south of me was the Union Pacific Railroad. Well, it still is. Down there is South Weber, Uinta, and that's where the Transcontinental Railway came down through Weber Canyon. So maybe they were hauling logs to work on the railroad. I know that was a pretty significant logging operation in this area. Building railroad ties and structures and stuff for the steam engines. Maybe even getting wood. Well, I think by that time they were coal-fired. Yeah, they weren't wood. I'm just gonna kind of follow this pathway up here and see what I can see. Why not, right? It's always hard to tell on camera, but it's a lot steeper than it looks. So far all I've seen are deer tracks. Could see rabbit tracks, coyote tracks. Hopefully not mountain lion tracks. I just wonder if it flattens out on that ridge up there, give me a viewpoint. So I'm up here in the scrub oak and the scrub maple trees. And from Google Maps, you can actually see this trench all the way up, but being at surface level, it's a little bit harder to spot, and I think the snow kind of obscures that as well. So I'm just following the general direction. There's kind of a deer path that way, or maybe a path that way. But yeah, there's a little toe of evergreens that comes down. And I just want to make it to that to see if I can find any stumps or anything like that. I highly, highly doubt that I'll see any structures, but you never know. I doubt it though. Also, all of this information I'm giving you is based off of my assumptions, so feel free to fact check me. It was just kind of a passing comment that my uncle made. And what's interesting is I've noticed these trenches, and again, if you're from this area, maybe you have too, but just didn't pay too much attention. But then once I was told about them, then I couldn't stop thinking about exploring this area, so here I am. Some little mice tracks or something. You can kind of see its tail in between its tracks. Then I'm just following these deer tracks. Looks like I found a way through. And it looks like the deer found something pretty interesting here. They might have been eating some buds off of this tree or some nuts. That's a scrub oak, so you see some little acorn caps there. That one got taken by some worms or something. But it looks like the deer were hanging out here and munching away with a beautiful view of the city. Oh, look at all those birds. Remember when I said that I hoped it flattened out a few minutes ago? Well, I'm well beyond that point that I thought flattened out, and it looks exactly the same. Gotta love false summits. This just keeps going up and up and up, which makes sense why pioneers would choose to slide logs down this, because, you know, a little vegetation, pretty smooth ramp down, and just like a straight shot. Let's check out these boulders right here. So this doesn't necessarily look natural. You have like a perfect line of rocks here and a bunch spilled over there with kind of a natural back wall. I mean, this could be anything. It could be the shelter built by Boy Scouts or kids that live in those neighborhoods down there. Or it could have been kind of a temporary holdover for the operation. But yeah, I mean, it looks like it's a nice, fairly flat base here. And then you could build something up, like a little cabin or something right here. This is me for reference standing in it. It's about 20 feet long, 8 to 10 feet wide. You build up a rock wall here, lean some sticks down this way, and you have a nice little shelter. I don't know. Like I said, everything is an assumption, but this does not look natural. I can't see it. But in case you can, I'm the blue dot, and the trees are just to the right. So I've got a little ways to go. I've hiked up a decent amount. You know, as I stand here and look out over the valley, I look at all the places that I've been and all the things there is to see just in this immediate area. Like that's Malin's Peak right there. Way off in the distance is Lewis Peak, Ben Lomond Peak. I've been to the top of all of those. I haven't done much south, so maybe it's time to spread out a little bit, but there's just so much to see in this immediate area, and I hope that you can have similar experiences in your area as well. You know, I've been clear out there on the other side of the lake, just making all these videos, so it's been cool to be encouraged by you all to get out here and do stuff like this. Obviously, I do it because I'm curious, and I like to bring you along in hopes that you're curious too. And you never know what you're going to get out of these. Okay, so it's getting a little bit more interesting. Here's another one of those dugouts. Again, a bunch of rocks stacked on the west side against some sort of wall on the east side there. This one looks like it's been dug out a little bit more. And I think I see a tree stump up there. But another thing that's interesting is I'm not the only one with this idea. These look fairly recent too, so it's not like I'm on any sort of established hiking trail. So it's interesting to see human footprints up here, but it's not like I'm the only one that knows about this. Oh, that wasn't a stump, it was just a rock. So I stopped following those footprints, but I think I found the depression here. Kind of goes into that area, and I see my first pine tree over there, so I'm gonna hike to that. It's gonna be at the toe of where the evergreens are, so we'll see if this is even a good spot. But now I'm just kind of bushwhacking. I'm in here with these maples. Got my first pine tree right there. I'm not looking for a Christmas tree. It's a sign that we're close to where the pioneers were logging logs. It's kind of cool. The snow's deeper though, so a little bit more of a workout. Lots of deer in here though, that's for sure. I think I found where one bedded down. Check this out. It's all compressed down there. Should have wore some gaiters. It's just so pretty back in here. Like, you wouldn't even know there's a city down there. So I found this adventure interesting for a couple of reasons. One, because of the history that my uncle gave, and I love history. And two, because my dad was a logger. So if I could see what like an old logging operation could look like from the pioneer era, I figured that'd be super interesting. But I'm here. This is a Douglas fir tree. You can tell because if you grab it, it doesn't hurt like a pine tree. I mean, it'll still poke you, but a little bit softer. We'll maybe get into some different pines further up. I can see a bigger stand of these trees, but don't want to spend a ton of time up here. Did get a little late start in the day, but we'll get as far as we can. Luckily, it's not terrible to hike through here. I just want to see one stump that's been cut by a human. That's all I need to see. So far, there are zero, and I don't think the snow's deep enough to hide them. Definitely should have wore gaiters. So I'm in a pretty significant tree stand and not seeing any stumps. This would be some pretty rugged terrain to log in. But those pioneers were hardy people, not like me, a soft desk jockey who has to force himself to get out into nature. Yeah, this is a pretty steep grade down there. Again, video never does it justice. But I think what I'm gonna do is try to get up out of here and just kind of see what I can see top down and then make my way down. So far the only evidence of a logging operation is those ruts themselves. But regardless, I'm in an area that people probably very rarely come to, which is cool. It's always fun to say. Another thing that would be evidence is a decent trail in here, because if this was their daily job for a little while, there would be a nice trail. I'm pretty sure I'm on a deer path, but there is a nice opening through here. Can't really tell if there's an actual trail right here, but it seems to be doing the job. So I didn't quite make it out of this ravine here because I'm not quite to the thickest area of trees. Oh, here's another deer bed. I can tell because it's a little more icy on top. So just kind of bed down. Their body heat melts the snow. Here's another one standing right in it. And then after they leave, it probably ices over. I'm surprised I haven't spooked any deer. Usually they spook me first. So back in here is where I thought for sure I'd see some stumps. This is kind of a big area though, so and this all could have come later. You know, if this was over 100 years ago, they didn't really practice preservation when logging back then. So they could have wiped it all out and this could grow back. I don't know the age. But what would be fun is to hike down there into Strong's Canyon and go out that way, but it looks pretty steep. My boots aren't the best, so I think my best plan of action would be to get out of here. Just not seeing any stumps, but it's been interesting though. It's been fun to see this area. Just trying to get out of this brush. Now I'm really playing in the snow. Check it out, rabbit tracks. These are the first I've seen. They're a little older. See their big old feet and then the two little front paws. That's awesome. That's what's cool about hiking in the winter, is to learn what animals are around you. If you can identify their tracks, obviously. Deer, rabbit, mice, that's pretty easy. Mountain lion are easy to confuse with large dogs. However, mountain lions, when they walk around, have their claws retracted. So if you just see nice round paws without any claw prints, that's going to be your mountain lion. Oh, this is cool. I came out on top. I mean, there's so much more mountain behind me, but I'm just kind of at this little false summit here. I just have an amazing view of the valley. This is beautiful. Like, you can kind of see some treetops up there. That's kind of where I was, but maybe they came up even higher below that peak up there and drug them down. I didn't get quite that far. I just wanted to see one human cut stump just to verify. I mean, obviously I believe the history, but it would be cool to see kind of an old school logging operation. But maybe it might be another adventure for the summer, and then I could do like a cool loop down into Strong's Canyon and explore down there, because I don't know much about that canyon. I've just heard about it, hiked through it. Also, I think I could hear the waterfall from Waterfall Canyon, so that would be kind of cool to see if we could come out on top of it. In fact, now that I'm talking, I can see another one of these depressions here. So maybe I didn't get far enough up. Yeah, right here. This is like a chute. Right down there. I could almost slide down it. Let me see what I can see on Google Maps real quick. Yeah, so I'm actually pretty far south of the chutes that I originally climbed up. So I'm just gonna follow this one down. What's cool though is on Google Maps you can actually see those little dugout areas that I stopped and took a look at. So I'll pop that up on the screen. That was definitely something, but I'm just kind of making my way down through this chute here. If I brought a sled, it'd be a pretty gnarly sled ride down. Looks like that person I was following had the same idea, because now his tracks are going down. Man, I wish I knew what that little dugout area was. Again, there's two of them. There's this higher one, and then there's one lower. There's a rock sticking out. That's the back wall there. Could it have been a part of the logging operation? Like maybe it was a nice flat staging area for some mules or something that was hauling the logs down. They could hang out there for a minute and get their footing, because even just this short little hike here, a lot to wear and tear on you. I'm standing in the lower dugout area that we saw earlier in the video. It's one of those things that you just wish you knew what it was. Was it man-made? Is it natural? I can't 100% confirm or reject, but I mean, with all these rocks right here piled, I just think somebody probably like dug this out and built a little shelter right here. Although there's no evidence of sticks or anything either. You thought that maybe if they did like a stick roof that you would see some, sticks discarded or something like that. But anyway, I'm in an area that you've already seen before, so this is a good spot to end it. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button. And of course, if you see anything that I didn't, or I misidentified a tree or a plant or something, let me know in the comments down below. I love to hear your feedback. And of course, while you're down there, hit that subscribe button. Have a great rest of your day.